All right, so I am so excited to be here for the very first quick conversations with Sarah Auda, and I'm the CEO and founder of Three Beats Consulting. And my real intention right now, with all of the upheaval in the world, all of the upheaval across industries, as we see the W-2 model changing and the fractional work changing, I really want to invite other leaders who are experts in what they do to come together and give you answers to three different questions, which is number one, what do people need to know right now? Number two, what's in the way of that, or what's a challenge in people really embracing and understanding that? And number three, what's one simple small step that someone can take today towards what the experts on here have to say? And then you can connect with them outside of that. Substack has been an incredible community for those of us who are on there. And today I'm so thrilled to bring in Kim. So, Kim, why don't you give us kind of the heads up on who you are, where you are, general sense of who you are, and then we'll get into question number one, which is what do people need to know now?
Beautiful. First, thank you for having me and for hosting this conversation. It's such a juicy and important one. I'm Kim Argetsinger, so hi to anybody I don't know or haven't had the pleasure of meeting. I'm a business coach and success mentor. I've been in business for 10 years now. I just had my anniversary, which is wild. And I work with high achieving coaches, therapists, other service providers, and I help them to build, grow, and scale a business that is profitable, ideally at the 250K mark and above, because I find that's generally where we're able to pay ourselves really well and to scale up to, again, the $1 million mark. And I really focus on simplicity, scalability, profitability, and doing things on your terms is the way I like to say it, which doesn't mean we just follow our feelings, but it does mean there is a way to do things that is really aligned with our strengths and what works best for us in our lifestyle. And I'm based in New York City, and we have the LA connection. I used to live in Los Angeles. And
Yeah.
shall I dive right into the question, or do you want to chat?
Yeah, so let's just dive in. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the dialogue is so important, and maybe we'll do an eventual like group think around this, some sort of group experience. But for you, Kim, and just your niche, your corner of the world, your perspective, wherever you're coming from with your clients and your life and friends, what is one thing that people need to know right now, just given kind of your perspective? Can be
Yeah,
anything.
I think based on kind of the conversation we were having before, what's really been coming up for me is so much in our world is changing, and also so much in our world is how it's always been. But I think the temperature has really been turned up globally. I don't necessarily have to get political, but I think a lot of us are really concerned about that and really paying attention in a different way. I think in our online space, a lot has shifted, and kind of what worked before hasn't worked. I think many of us have been talking about a trust recession for a little while. So I think there's just been a lot of these things that make all of us feel maybe a little uncertain. And what I've seen through my clients, what I've seen through my own business is while all of this is going on, what tends to be true underneath it is the thing that's always been true in business is when we come back to some of the simple foundational principles, those still work. People still need services. I keep thinking about like AI, like throwing us all. And what tends to come back, like everything tends to come back to, is the importance of relationships. And I think it's almost like we got lost in the sauce somewhere along the way. And I think this is
Mhm.
an opportunity, if we allow it to be, to kind of return to the importance and the strength of relationships and what that can do for business. So that's the kind of the big thing that comes up for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think relationships, I mean, especially with AI, there's such a big gap right now
Mhm.
where you can get a real person on the phone or a real person on the other end of a chat or whatever the case might be. It's like now a luxury service maybe we're not intending it to be, but it's just human connection is valuable by nature. And I love that that's like the core of what you do in your work with your clients and what you really like wave a flag for, in the work you do.
Yeah, very much.
So, human connection is really like what people need to know right now. That's kind of the thesis of what I'm hearing and what you're sharing.
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just gonna refer. Yeah, I mean to
Yeah.
say yes, absolutely.
And I'm sure you're seeing that like within your clients, within their clients, and I don't know if they're in products or services, but again, that human connection is so huge. Even if it's a product, it's what's the human story behind it, right?
Absolutely. What I see
Yeah.
is that when we look at marketing sales, anything that drives results in business, at the core of it is human connection and specifically strategic and leverage relationships. And
Mhm.
without that, any strategy is either not going to work or we're going to have to create more effort, do more work to make it make it work, especially in an AI-driven world and especially when trust is down. If you look at what branding is creating connection. It's creating that know, like, and trust we hear so much about. If you look at, I mean, I think we think so much about scalability in the online space and we get so obsessed with doing things that scale, but really what scales is learning how to build know, like, and trust and that relationship kind of at scale, not what is the most scalable model. And so I think we just see this kind of across every business platform we always have. It's what social
Mm.
media is. It's what Substack. It's why we're obsessed with Substack. And
Yeah.
when things I think are so heightened, especially when we have a distrust in the space, we have a distrust because we don't know is something written by AI or not. And when I think we're wondering globally, is a leader who they say or not? And I think overall our spidey senses are up. I think we're coming back to, is this person in front of me who they say they are? Can I trust them? And it's really hard for us to trust someone we don't have some sort of a relationship with.
Yeah. So the second question is really like, what's in the way of people really understanding, adopting, or kind of implementing this idea that you're bringing to the forefront? So, right, with the rise of AI and automation and with the value for that human connection, just break down a little bit of what you're seeing specifically around what are the challenges in the way of people adopting, understanding, and even digesting this. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple things come to mind, and feel free to like tell me if you're seeing the same,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like what
yeah.
you're noticing. But I think the first thing that comes to mind for me, and this is kind of like devoid of everything we're just talking about, I think it's really hard for us, especially high achieving humans who've like grown
Mm.
up learning that like hard work and your work ethic is what gets you what you want, to think that business can be as simple as, wait, just build relationships. And I think we've just been really like have that kind of like drilled into us. And so I think there's a little element that's just even from a personal standpoint that we make things harder than they need to be. And then I think the other side of it is, especially for those of us that have been in business for a while, at least the space I'm in, there's been such a narrative around virality, doing things to scale, almost like, and I'm a one-on-one coach, like trying to scale ourselves out of the relationship as quickly as possible. I don't know about the space you're in, but what I have found is it almost got like cool at a certain point to like not show up for client calls or to not get on sales calls or to like not be the person responding to people in the DMs. Like it was almost like, how could you remove yourself from your business as quickly as possible? Not that there isn't
Mm-hmm.
a time for that or a place for that or that we
Hmm.
want to be kind of like doing everything manually. But I think all of that has done such a harm in our space, not only with the trust, but with kind of like relearning, like both trusting it can be really simple, but also kind of going back to basics and the things that actually allow us to form those relationships. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting and so much of my work is really around helping a leader align to what are your modalities for communication and brand awareness. Not everyone needs a TikTok, not everyone needs an Instagram. If you love it, if you're seeing traction, if it feels alive for you, great. But a lot of my clients, to your point, are finding their biggest conversions happening from those personal relationships, those personal referrals. So it's like, okay, well, you could spend a couple of hours tweaking your socials, or you can spend a couple hours with real people that might write you tens of thousands of dollars on a check. So,
It's
um,
exactly that. I just wrote a
that'll be
Substack about
interesting.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be
I
interesting to see where things trend from here.
and I think, I mean, to be fair to everyone listening, there's nothing wrong with going viral.
Of
For certain
course.
business models, that can do a lot for visibility, but I think we confuse visibility with relationship, and they're not the same thing. I've gone viral. It's great. And it's made me $0 in business. And I've tracked, I think it was
Mm,
168K last year alone from just 4 relationships in terms of referral. So I think,
yeah.
yes, for visibility, but I think just not forgetting that relationship is what happens after visibility. It's not done at the point of visibility.
Ooh, that's such a great point. And is that something you help with your clients, like really working with them in their businesses of like what happens after visibility?
Absolutely, because I think
Yeah.
that's, I mean, that's the customer journey. That's what we're
Yeah.
doing with marketing when we're building. I mean, I keep using the word relationship when we're building those relationships, which
Yeah.
can be done through TikTok, for example.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be one single post going viral, which is, I think, the story so many of us have been sold.
So yes, you're so right. And my hope is again, like this is a 10 to 15 minute kind of like dip into,
Yeah.
right? A little cold plunge, if you will,
Yes.
into an idea. What the last question is like, what is one simple, actionable thing that listeners or viewers here can apply in their own way to really like work with this idea that you're bringing forward?
Yeah, so I'm going to give three, but it's all like just choose one, kind of choose your own adventure.
Hmm.
I think when we're talking about the idea of if visibility is the first point, right? When I met my husband, I swiped right on Tinder. That was the first point, and then we had to actually go on a date and build a relationship after that.
Yeah.
So after that, really, if we look at how do we build relationships, we have to let people know us, which means I had to go on a date with my husband, like pull the mask down, let him actually get to see me, be vulnerable, get to know one another. We need to find ways to be accessible and to build depth. So not just those 3-second touch points on a reel, but we have to build some sort of depth. And then I think a lot about doing the things that don't scale to scale, which just means sometimes, not always, but not everything needs to be automated. Not everything needs to be delegated. Not everything needs to be something we remove ourselves to. If we look at huge corporations, they pay people a lot of money to do things that don't scale to scale, which can look like what we're doing here and having a conversation, which can reach lots of people and be scalable in that way. Hopping on a call with someone, sending a personal follow-up, sending a gift to someone,
Hmm.
hosting a dinner, but these things that can really help build that relationship in a way that takes us past the 3-second reel.
Oh, that's so enriching and like so good to hear. And so, like, yeah, for each person, it's like, what's that version for you? Is it hosting a dinner? Is it putting maybe three conversations on your books with a real human over the next week or two? Um, this is so great. And thank you, Kim, for what it is that you're observing and seeing. I feel like now more than ever, just that human observation piece is so critical, to the collective hive mind, especially as entrepreneurs, CEOs, and founders. Where can people know more about you? Where can they contact you? Where can they find you if they want more engagement?
Thank you for hosting this conversation as
Yeah.
well. I love it. I think it's such a juicy one and so nice to get to meet you.
Yeah.
I think we're sharing this on Substack. So I'm on Substack,
Uh,
which is at my name, Kim Argetsinger, and my Substack is called Business Inside Out. So for everyone there, it's probably the easiest place. My website's also linked there. And then I am also on Instagram. So you're welcome to come say there under my name. And you can find my podcast and everything through those links as well.
Perfect. And I'll put the links to those too in all the places that we share about this as well.
Perfect.
Anything last that you want to kind of leave people with? Anything that's one last CTA, one last invitation?
Yeah, I mean, not so much a CTA. I think just the thing I would just offer as like a closing thought. I think at least from what I'm seeing, there's such a stress that like between AI, between the trust recession, potential economy challenges, the state of the world, I think people are really stressed that people aren't buying anymore, that people aren't investing in anymore. I have seen the complete opposite to be true. We had our best year in business last year. Many of my clients have. I think things just look different than they did before, but that doesn't mean that there isn't still lots of room for everybody, lots of room for success, that people aren't still investing, they don't have needs. Again, it's just look different. And business is always about evolving and just kind of moving with the changes. So I just want to offer that as maybe some hope for everybody listening. Like keep doing what you're doing. People need your work and your magic.
Oh, 100%. Thank you so much, Kim, for being here with us. We'll sign off in a moment. I'll go ahead and pause the recording, but please follow Kim, find out more about what she's up to with the links. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.